Everyone thinks the biggest lie in DevOps is that the cloud is always cheaper, or that your latest AI initiative is what's truly draining the budget. But they're dead wrong. You won't regret not deploying that bleeding-edge observability stack immediately. But you will regret ignoring the invisible sinkhole already collapsing your DevOps foundation. Welcome, end-to-end architects and engineers. Today, we're tearing down the myths, because every year, $50,000 just disappears into unseen DevOps inefficiency and insidious misconfiguration, slowly pulling down your career, your team's budget, and your project's future. If this feels familiar, if you've seen budget requests vanish into thin air, or if you constantly fight to justify your infrastructure spend, then you've likely bought into the illusion. The biggest lie about cloud cost isn't about optimizing services. It's about identifying what's actually bleeding you dry. I've seen teams, confident in their set-it-and-forget-it deployment strategies, accrue irreversible multi-year charges from critical misconfigurations, like S3 object lock in compliance mode, or waste hundreds of thousands on over-provisioned VMSS instances they barely touch. That's not a cloud problem. It's a systemic human problem. This isn't about saving pennies. This isn't about some obscure billing trick. This is about a gaping, gushing leak under your entire operation. A leak that costs you not just money, but something far more valuable: your credibility, your ability to deliver, your team's morale, and yes, your career trajectory. You see, the real $50,000 mistake isn't an external force. It's a deeply ingrained internal failure, masquerading as unavoidable complexity or just the cost of doing business. It's the silent killer of budgets, morale, and innovation. But here's the kicker. Most organizations are completely blind to this. They're frantically bailing water while the true source of the flood remains hidden, often right under their noses. This isn't a problem that fixes itself with a dashboard. It requires a fundamental shift in how you view, manage, and are held accountable for your end-to-end DevOps infrastructure. And without that shift, that $50,000 drain becomes permanent. Ready to uncover the truth and pinpoint whose responsibility it really is? Look, if you don't establish end-to-end accountability and granular resource optimization across your entire DevOps pipeline today, you are personally guaranteeing a minimum of $50,000 in avoidable waste annually. This isn't just about saving your company money. It's about undermining your projects, depleting your team's budget, and ultimately, eroding your leadership's trust in your ability to manage effectively. It's a direct hit to your career trajectory. This isn't a problem that someone else will fix. You might be looking at your dashboards, seeing green, thinking everything's under control. But beneath that surface, the ground is eroding. It's like that hidden sinkhole under your foundation, silently swallowing $50,000 every single year because you've never truly dug deep enough to find the source. You haven't looked at the entire system from its deepest point to its highest application, and that oversight is bleeding you dry. I've seen teams spin up entire VMSS instances or massive S3 buckets for a maybe someday project, then forget them. They sit there, consuming resources, accumulating bills, because no one has the clear, undeniable ownership from inception to decommissioning. The set-it-and-forget-it mentality, combined with organizational inertia, turns small missteps into catastrophic, long-term liabilities. The absence of a single, responsible owner is a design flaw in your financial operations, not just your infrastructure. And it gets worse. Consider the critical cloud misconfigurations. The kind where, once enabled, you're locked in. Think S3 object lock in compliance mode, setting multi-year, irreversible charges. These aren't just minor leaks. These are concrete-filled, unpluggable liabilities that accumulate year after year. It's a technical debt that becomes a financial albatross, impacting your ability to innovate or even justify future investment. So let's be brutally honest. Your inability to see, track, and ultimately take responsibility for every single dollar spent across your full DevOps lifecycle, that's the core mistake. That's the $50,000 mistake that is slowly, but surely, pulling down everything you've worked to build. This isn't just a cost center problem. It's a fundamental leadership challenge that demands your immediate, personal attention. And ignoring it will cost you far more than just money. Okay, so we've established the $50,000 yearly bleed is your responsibility. But let's be brutally honest. This isn't just about a line item on a balance sheet. It's far more insidious. Remember that house with the hidden sinkhole under the foundation? That $50,000 isn't just disappearing from some anonymous corporate fund. It's eating into your personal budget for innovation. It's shrinking your team's runway. And it's subtly undermining every project you touch. This isn't abstract. It's a direct threat to what you build. And then there's your reputation. Imagine presenting a budget review, trying to secure resources for that critical new feature, only to have a stakeholder pull up the wasteful cloud spend report. The set it and forget it mindset. Those forgotten idle instances. The misconfigured S3 buckets. They don't just cost money, they cost trust. They chip away at your credibility, making every future ask, every strategic proposal, that much harder to justify. You might be thinking, surely they won't track my specific resource usage. Oh, they absolutely will, and they do. I've seen teams where this unchecked sprawl created internal feuds. Picture a moment where your engineers, frustrated by constant resource constraints, point fingers at the shadow IT costs that leadership won't address. Or when customer-facing teams face the wrath of clients because a critical analytics pipeline is broken, not due to incompetence, but because of an irreversible object lock configuration. It degrades relationships, fosters a blame culture, and makes innovation feel like an uphill battle against a silent, relentless enemy. What about your legacy? You came into this role, into this company, with ambitions to build, to optimize, to leave a mark. But when you're constantly battling the undertow of unmanaged infrastructure, of technical debt that compounds year after year, what are you really leaving behind? Are you building robust, efficient systems, or are you just managing the inevitable collapse of an unstable foundation? This isn't just a job. It's part of your professional story. Don't let the chapter on DevOps be about preventable, colossal waste. The real cost isn't just money. It's the quiet dread of knowing you're not operating at peak potential, that you're leaving money on the table, talent underutilized, and opportunities uncaptured. It's the anxiety of impending audits, the frustration of slow deployments, the regret of watching competitors move faster. This bleed won't stop itself. The foundational cracks are there, and ignoring them will only make the inevitable repair or collapse exponentially more painful. You have to plug this leak. But knowing the stakes is only the first step. Next, we'll unmask the specific 4 fatal flaws driving this $50,000 drain. Alright, let's peel back the layers and confront the true drivers behind that phantom $50,000 annual drain. The first fatal flaw is a pervasive lack of end-to-end visibility. You've got teams provisioning resources in isolation, a VMSS here, a multi-region S3 bucket there, log analytics churning away, without a clear, holistic view of the aggregate cost or actual utilizations. This isn't just about slight over-provisioning. It's about vast swathes of infrastructure sitting idle, forgotten, or completely unoptimized, a digital ghost town of unused capacity. The problem isn't the cloud itself. It's the invisible sprawl you've allowed to accumulate. This leads to budget overruns that quietly sabotage innovation, eating into funds meant for new features or critical talent acquisition. Which brings us to the second flaw, the set it and forget it mentality. Many organizations treat cloud infrastructure like a one-time purchase. They configure it, deploy their app, and then move on, assuming it will magically manage itself. You might be thinking, but we have cost reports. And yes, you might. But often, these reports are siloed, retrospective, and lack actionable insights. They tell you what you spent, but not why it was wasted, or who is accountable for that idle S3 Glacier vault with compliance mode enabled for 10 years. This passive approach creates a culture where nobody truly owns the cloud bill, leading to systemic overspending and an ever-growing pile of technical debt that costs far more than the initial setup. The third fatal flaw is believing that fragmented, siloed optimization is enough. The real solution isn't just about tweaking individual services. It requires active, integrated FinOps throughout the entire DevOps lifecycle. This means shifting left on cost awareness, embedding it directly into architectural design, development, and deployment. You need a dedicated focus on continuous cost optimization, driven by clear metrics and cross-functional accountability. This is like finally addressing that hidden sinkhole under your foundation. You don't just patch the cracks in the walls. You shore up the entire structural integrity from the ground up. I've seen teams initially losing tens of thousands on unmonitored log analytics instances and over-retained crash data, reclaimed 30 to 40% of their cloud budget within months by implementing this end-to-end, proactive FinOps strategy. Finally, the proof is in the sustained, quantifiable impact. The fourth flaw is ignoring the predictable results of a truly optimized end-to-end approach. When you implement these strategies, you don't just cut costs once. You build a resilient, cost-aware culture. This isn't theoretical. Companies adopting this proactive, integrated FinOps model consistently report significant reductions in cloud waste, faster feature delivery due to healthier budgets, and a tangible increase in engineering morale, because they're building efficiently, not just rapidly. It proves that proactive financial governance isn't a cost center, but a competitive advantage. But beware many attempts at fixing this actually accelerate the drain. We'll dive into those devastating traps next. We've just pulled back the curtain on the 4 fatal flaws driving your DevOps drain, but here's the devastating trap. Many of the fixes you think are helping are actually accelerating that $50,000 loss. Don't make the mistake I see countless teams making every single day, sabotaging their own success with what feels like a logical step. The first pitfall? Chasing individual point solutions. You might be thinking, we'll optimize S3 storage here, or fine-tune VM scale sets there. And yes, those micro-optimizations feel productive. But without an end-to-end strategy, you're merely patching a single leak in a foundation riddled with cracks. It's like trying to bail out a sinking boat with a teacup while ignoring the gaping hole below the waterline. These isolated efforts often just shift the problem, or worse, mask the true systemic inefficiency. Then there's the timing mistake, acting either too early or too late. I've seen teams implement complex FinOps tooling before they even understand their basic cloud spend patterns, leading to tool sprawl and zero adoption. Conversely, others wait until an idle infrastructure bill has ballooned for months, trying to retroactively justify years of forgotten, over-provisioned resources. The result? Critical misconfigurations, like S3 object locks set in compliance mode, create long-term, irreversible financial liabilities that hit you years down the line. In real systems, this shows up when a major project, after a year of development, suddenly gets flagged for massive cloud overspending. Engineers scramble to optimize, but the core architecture was never designed for cost efficiency. It's like realizing you've unknowingly bought a house with a hidden sinkhole under the foundation, and you've spent a year furnishing it, only to find the floorboards beginning to sag. Every dollar spent on individual room decorations now feels like it's just disappearing into the abyss, accelerating the collapse, not preventing it. That $50,000 isn't just a number, it's the structural integrity of your entire operation. Another common pitfall, the security blanket of over-provisioning. It feels safe to spin up a few extra VMs, create larger S3 buckets than needed, or enable verbose logging just in case. But this speculative resource allocation, especially in advanced cloud environments, isn't safety. It's a slow financial strangulation. It's paying for empty rooms in your house, perpetually heated and lit, because you might have guests someday. And nobody is accountable for turning off the lights when they never arrive. Finally, the most devastating trap is the lack of end-to-end accountability. When infrastructure cost ownership is fragmented, or relegated solely to cloud ops without product team involvement, things get forgotten. Idle environments, unused dev instances, crash analytics, dashboards collecting dust. They all become invisible financial black holes. This isn't just a technical problem. It's an organizational failure that guarantees your annual $50,000 bleed will continue, unchecked, pulling down your budget, your team's morale, and ultimately, your career prospects. Understanding these traps is the first step. But how do you not just stop the bleed, but turn that $50,000 loss into a tangible win within the next 60 days? We'll uncover that next. After exposing the devastating traps, the hidden sinkholes that have been swallowing your budget, it's time to talk about reclaiming what's rightfully yours. You might be thinking, this all sounds like a massive problem with no easy fix. But what if I told you there's a brutal, actionable path to not just stop the bleeding, but to actively recover substantial funds, fast? We're not just patching a crack, we're shoring up the entire foundation. The core skill you must master is end-to-end cloud cost optimization. This isn't just about reading a monthly bill. It's about cultivating deep, holistic visibility across your entire DevOps pipeline. From idle VMSS instances to forgotten S3 buckets. From over-provisioned log analytics to those insidious, misconfigured compliance mode locks. It demands a shift from reactive firefighting to proactive, policy-driven governance, ensuring every dollar spent in the cloud actually serves a defined purpose. This brings us to the measurable outcome. Master this end-to-end optimization now, and you will reclaim a minimum of $50,000 in previously unutilized, over-provisioned, or misconfigured cloud budget within 60 days. In real systems, this shows up when teams implement automated scanning for idle compute, right-size misaligned database instances, or identify and decommission unaccessed storage, the digital equivalent of finally plugging those individual leaks in your foundations. This isn't wishful thinking. It's achievable through a combination of advanced FinOps principles, deep architectural reviews, and automated resource lifecycle management. We're talking about implementing policies that automatically scale down non-production environments, leveraging spot instances for fault-tolerant workloads, and establishing granular cost allocation tags. This level of control combats the set it and forget it mentality, fostering a culture of continuous financial accountability. So let's be brutally concrete. That $50,000 figure isn't just some abstract number. It's real budget, locked up in your current cloud infrastructure, waiting to be unleashed. Reclaiming it in just 2 months isn't just a financial win. It's a profound statement about your team's efficiency, your leadership, and your career trajectory. It's about taking control of that sinkhole before it consumes everything. But what happens if you choose to ignore this clear path to recovery? We've talked about the hidden sinkhole devouring your budget, pulling down your career, and eroding your team's future. That $50,000 bleed isn't some distant problem. It's happening right now. The question is no longer if you're losing money, but when you choose to stop it. This isn't about saving pennies. It's about plugging that gushing leak before it swallows everything you've built. Today, you stand at a crossroads. A definitive moment where inaction itself becomes a costly decision. The irreversible consequences of letting that sinkhole expand are grim. Your technical debt isn't just a number. It's the looming shadow over every new project, forcing painful trade-offs. Budget cuts won't just impact future initiatives. They'll shrink your team, stifle innovation, and ultimately stagnate your own career trajectory. If this feels familiar, if you've seen projects crippled by unexpected cloud bills or forgotten infrastructure, you know the stakes are personal. Your move then is simple but urgent. Reclaim control. Start with an immediate, deep audit of your entire cloud estate. Identify every over-provisioned VMSS, every unutilized S3 bucket, every misconfigured log analytics instance that's silently draining funds. I've seen teams, paralyzed by organizational complexity, find hundreds of thousands in wasted spend simply by dedicating a focused sprint to this. They often discover idle infrastructure from projects deprecated months, even years ago. Here's what separates winners from losers in this end-to-end DevOps battle. It's not just about technical skill. It's about visionary strategy, about fostering a culture of proactive optimization, and instilling continuous accountability across your entire toolchain. The winners see their cloud bill not as an unavoidable expense, but as a direct reflection of their operational efficiency and their strategic foresight. They are the architects of their budget, not accidental spenders. So which one are you? The one who lets the foundation crumble? Or the one who plugs the leak and builds stronger? You have 48 hours to initiate your first comprehensive cloud cost optimization review. After that, you're not just accepting the $50,000 loss, you're actively choosing to let that sinkhole deepen. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated, hit that like button. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway or the challenge you're tackling first. Subscribe to Makehaven Developer for more advanced DevOps insights. And make sure you hit the bell. And for the full, detailed playbook to reclaim your $50,000, the link is right there in the description.